A sugar worker sleeps fitfully beside me. She's having a nightmare. She says she's fighting the revolution, but she can't tell who's winning. Go back to sleep, says the organizer from across the bamboo floor, and keep dreaming until you know the people have won. The Philippines is my political kaleidoscope. It's here I met the people in this film. At first, their stories appear disparate, sometimes beautiful, sometimes cruel. Some take me underground with the left-wing revolutionaries, others into the heartland of the right-wing vigilantes. But sometimes, these different stories fall into a perfect pattern. In that moment, all our lives appear to fit one into the other. And the 6 o'clock news, it's never the same again.
Mga ninuno sa kagubatan, gabayan ang inyong angkan. Nalilito naliligaw sa kung saan-saan, naghahanap ng kalayaan, ligaya't kapayapaan. Ilang laksang tag-araw na ang nakaraan. Ang mga puno'y ibinuwal, ilog at dagat ay sinakmal, ngunit wala doon ang kasagutan.
The first story to understand is the history of the land. Sugar workers on the island of Negros line up every morning, waiting for the landlord's foreman to assign them their day's work. He tells the women to weed in the new field and the men to cut the mature cane. There are 38 million Filipinos who live in the countryside, but only 1 million work their own land. The sugar worker bites into a stick of cane. The land used to be ours, she says, spitting out the sugar pulp. Now it's not. The Philippines, an archipelago of 7,000 islands in the South Pacific, so beautiful, so rich in natural resources, they became perpetual spoils of war. First, the Spanish and their church colonized the Philippines. Then came the Americans, followed by the Japanese, then the Americans again. On July the 4th, 1946, the U.S. granted Filipinos independence, introduced a red, white, and blue flag, and opened the doors to big business. Today, Filipino sugar workers cut and load a ton of cane a day for $1 US. Every time there's an election, politicians promise to give these people back their land. Since 1930, there have been 42 land reform decrees and 9 legislative acts. The present government is working on the 10th, but Filipinos remain landless. In the people's need for land and desire to control their own lives lies a revolution. In the mountains, an 18-year-old boy takes an oath to the revolution, to the illegal underground Communist Party, and to its New People's Army. His elder brother had joined the guerrillas and died fighting the dictatorship of Ferdinand Marcos. Now, the younger brother pledges to continue the revolution for the land and for the people. He joins the veterans of a guerrilla war who refuse to lay down their arms for the new president, Cory Aquino.
Why not stop armed struggle and go down and join the reform that the government is implementing? Well, it's a good idea, but it is not consistent with what is happening since the Aquino regime was established and to the present.
Cory. She won a presidential election with promises of land for the poor. Then she defied Ferdinand Marcos, who refused to relinquish power. Cory, whose People's Power movement stopped the tanks of a dictator. The church called it a miracle. The military called it a revolution. But who was behind this revolutionary miracle? February 22nd, 1986. Factions within the military sense Marcos falling from power and cross over to join Mrs. Aquino. She needs an army, they need a president. Once the military begins to split, the other players fall into place. The middle class rallies beside the urban poor. They're joined by the church. Together, they form human barricades to stop the Marcos troops and to protect Mrs. Aquino's new army.
Now, therefore, by virtue of the powers vested in me as President of the Republic of the Philippines,
February 25th, 10 a.m. Cory declares herself president, and she takes the first vows in her forced marriage to the military. She appoints Juan Ponce Enrile as defense minister. He's the same man who ran the military under Marcos. Her new chief of staff is General Ramos, former commander of the Philippine Constabulary. Two hours later, Ferdinand Marcos redeclares himself president and his wife Imelda as first lady. The United States, still supporting the Marcos regime after 22 years, is faced with a diplomatic nightmare. 9:05 p.m. Filipinos storm the presidential palace gates in search of Marcos. They don't find him. Moments before, U.S. helicopters had snatched the Marcos family from the palace. The dictator was gone. The military stayed.
Will become one of the greatest countries in the world.
There are 58 million people in the Philippines. 80% of them live below the poverty line. 10,000 people a month migrate from their landless, jobless, rural villages to the slums of Manila looking for food, looking for work. January 22nd, 1987. Manila is back on our television sets again. Sugar workers and farmers demand the land Mrs. Aquino has promised them. They gather at the Mendiola Bridge leading to the presidential palace. They are met with what is now called the new armed forces of the Philippines. In 3 minutes, 18 people died, and Mrs. Aquino wept. The miracle was over. For the survivors, the bullets of Mendiola pose a stark question. Should the left trust the government and risk demonstrating again? Or should they go underground and join the guerrilla war?
How did you work on this in your cell?
Well, the cell wasn't wide
There's a
enough
cool
for the
garden I
canvas,
retreat
so
to in Manila.
both sides
It belongs to Ed de la
started
Torre, who is a priest,
different
an artist, and a revolutionary. He understands the price of being a radical priest.
This one is taken from a photograph of children in a hamleted village. This is really barbed wire.
Ed was twice imprisoned under Marcos for leading the underground Christians for national liberation. He was later released by Mrs. Aquino. I find him painting a mural outside of his Institute for Popular Democracy. With the Institute, Ed is again taking the chance that the military won't throw him back in jail. Once again, Ed de la Torre is speaking for the left, with the common sense and humor, which are his trademark.
And it's to the guerrillas that the questions are posed usually. They don't usually question the military about using violence. They ask the guerrillas. The left in the Philippines never really had sustained legal existence longer than a year or so. Then it was driven underground. And while even under martial law, the left tried to assert its presence in the legal sphere, it was very constricted. And most of the leaders of the left tend to train themselves or get pulled down into underground leadership roles. And I felt that maybe I would help participate in one, giving the left a legal face that is able to participate in the democratic debate, not necessarily winning all of them, but able to hold its own, so as to break this prejudice, or at the very least the ignorance, about what left is and whether it can be democratic at all. Secondly, it's also important for our democracy that people do not have a notion of democracy that is constricted to shades of conservative thinking or just a choice between conservative and liberal thinking. Not so much for the sake of the left, but for the sake of democracy, for people who do not identify with the left, but who want a nice democracy for the Philippines. To tell them that, hey, look, democracy has space enough for all sorts of Filipinos thinking differently, thinking in terms of colors. I said democracy must have as many colors as the rainbow, and there is no rainbow without red. It would be a terrible rainbow that had only yellow or blue. Of course, you can distinguish now whether the red is a wide band or a narrow band. That's something else.
I leave Manila and go underground to the mountains of Mindanao, an island in the southern Philippines. 10 years ago, a student activist was driven underground into these same mountains. It was 1977 when George Madlos changed his name to Comrade Oris and never went home again.
After bidding goodbye, we went through with the hike that lasted until the wee hour of the morning. At 2 o'clock in the morning, we arrived at the place, and I didn't really think of anything but finding some way how to be able to sleep, to take a rest, because I was really tired. And the early morning, when I wake up, I realized I was already in the countryside. I have a new life. I realized that I will be spending the rest of the many years of my life being a revolutionary, being an NPE by then. The best way to mobilize the people is to organize them in the struggle for land reform. You visit a certain house and then you are the first NPA who happens to come to their house, happens to talk with them. Then as the struggle goes on, you can never be forgotten by the owner of the house because you were the first organizer who was able to tell him about the revolution. So somehow they begin to appreciate and understand that their role is to support the guerrilla war.
Unya, hinungdan sab nga kami nagasuporta sa NP tungod kay dili na maayo ang
Rizal is a tribal Filipino who has fought alongside Oris for the past 8 years.
na kapanag-iya anaa sa ila ang pagpandaog-daog kanamo. Mag-operasyon sila, panguhaon mga baboy, mga manok. Nya, mangmukbuk pa, manalbids pa. Ana, magpahimulos pag mga babay. Muna din na nga, wa na magkaangay. Nisalmot mi sa revolusyon. Aron, mapanag-iya ang kadaugan nga madumala kami sa hustong pagdumala. Masubay na ang hustong balaod. Nga din wa nay gidaog-daog ug wala nay madaog-daog ug wala nay gipahimuslan ug wa nay magpahimulos. Pantay na ba?
Kaya namin pagbayo.
The Communist Party and its 20,000 guerrilla soldiers influence over 20% of the Philippines. Government forces, however, can and do venture into rebel territory. A woman harvests rice in front of Oris's mobile headquarters. She tells me she will go with the government troops if they come to her house and demand that she move out of the guerrilla zone. She's too frightened to defy the soldiers. However, her husband, she says, will hide in the mountains until the troops leave. Then he will return to his fields to continue the harvest and the revolution. To support the guerrilla war is to give a cup of rice to a revolutionary, to give the guerrillas a place to sleep, to hide them from enemy eyes. In return, guerrilla leaders like Oris say the revolution will give the land back to the poor, taking most of it back from the handful of families who now control the country. The revolutionaries promise to replace the thousands of square miles of export crops with farms growing food for Filipinos. They will restructure the military so it defends their people instead of persecuting them. And they will remove the U.S. military bases, 2 of which are the largest American bases outside of mainland United States. To Mrs. Aquino's government, these are the slogans of a violent revolution. To the rebels, they are principles which guide them in their fight to return the Philippines to its people.
What really drove me to the underground was when we organized the Sakada, then we have a strike, then I was invited by the military, then they tortured me. Then again, they asked me to report, then I didn't show up. I started hiding, then I slept in my friend's house. Then when they hunt me here in the barrio, we slept in the fields. Then, when they raided the field, then to the mountain.
Bernabe Buscaino is known throughout the Philippines as Commander Dante, founder of the rebel New People's Army. He worked as a cicada, or sugar worker, and he organized the first guerrilla units around the edges of the American Clark Air Force Base. In 1976, Dante was captured by Marcos. He was tortured and spent the next 10 years in solitary confinement. Over the loud protest of the Americans, Mrs. Aquino later freed Dante along with the rest of Marcos's political prisoners. I first saw Dante the day he was let out of prison. He was a thin man, made shy from years of solitude, now released into the nervous aftermath of Cory's 4-day revolution.
What is all of this area here?
This area was our base during our time here. And we used to camp in that sugarcane field near the fence of Clarkfield, which a little bit safer because it's close to the base and no one was suspecting that there was a guerrilla camp there.
Dante didn't return to his guerrilla army in the mountains. Instead, he decided to test Mrs. Aquino's new democracy.
Mula sa Partido ng Bayan, si Bernabe Dante Buscaino.
Commander Dante runs for senator. Mrs. Aquino has called an election to create a new Senate and Congress. 6 senatorial and 23 congressional candidates joined Dante. Together they form the PNB, the Partido ng Bayan, or People's Party. The campaign starts in Manila as the first legal political party of the Filipino left in 57 years is introduced. 5 of the senatorial candidates are ex-political prisoners. All 7 have proven track records as leaders and organizers representing farmers, the urban poor, labor, women. One is a progressive publisher, another a human rights lawyer. They were the leaders of resistance under Marcos. Now, they are the left's challenge for parliamentary change under Mrs. Aquino.
Sino nga naman ang mag-aakala na liblib na lugar sa kanayunan ay nandito ngayon, nagsasalita sa maraming tao. Kaya't mga kababayan, ako'y naiilag pa dito sa malalaking ilaw na ito. At itong flashes ng mga kamera, sanay lang ako dun sa mga alitap-tap sa baryo. Kaya't napakagandang pagkakataon, ang Partidong Bayan ay binuo ng mga manggagawa, ng mga magsasaka, o ng lahat ng mamamayang exploited at oppressed.
Metro Davao Connection Anti-Communist Crusade. Welcome back sa atong tulumanon sa Metro Davao Connection Anti-Communist Crusade.
Davao, capital of Mindanao Island, home of vigilante death squads and radio DJ June Pala.
Abril. Ika po yung lagad June Puras Pala, kauban karon sa mga kaubang Canadian journalist. Kinagashooting manig pelikula yung tao. Abin ako interview lang eh. Pelikula naman na day pa ipasuwing sa Canada. Natulibag-bag na tanin eh. Okay. Anak kong sa kabukiran, ikaw anapa. Kalidag June Puras Pala, mag-auhag surrender na may garantiya. Ikan sa bukid, ayaw paglangan, palihog, kanaog. Pag-ong kagamhanan, garantiya, dili ka mabulog. Angay mong kaibgan, imong kaubanan. Isilong nasa landong sa bagong buhilaman. Imong kaigsuunan o kahigalaan. Kani mo gimingaw, nagkinahanggan. Aron sa among pagkabata, wak na'y magaluhang mga tagak. Pinintawag, balik na, anak. Okay, Miguel, tamko batogi kang lagang sa Bukana Chapter Barangay 76-A. Purok to bye-bye na to dakwen sa Davao. Siyaro go matandog yung kasing-kasing mga rebelliha mo. Sige lang magpamatay yung trabaho. Balik tao mo do. Way hinungdan. Kung mahadlok mag-surrender, po sila ang inyong commander.
Metro Davao Connection Anti-Communist Crusade.
If you can read history, when Hitler started to attack the communists, the Pope have an alliance with Hitler.
So you right now are using the same tactics as the Nazis.
And I will not be killing people. Maybe Hitler is the same, I adapt some of the tactics of Hitler, but not in murder, in propaganda.
What kind of tactics are you using?
The tactic is that using the radio. Hitler used the radio in attacking the communist propaganda by telling lies. I am not telling the lies. I am telling the truth about communist Marxists, about their deception. That is our secret.
What are some of the similar things that you're using as
The radio, you, according to Goebbels, the propaganda of Hitler, repeat all the facts against communism every day, make it big, and the people will believe in you. Look at the people now throughout the Philippines. They are fascinated with our attacks, and we have brainwashed people, hundreds of thousands of them.
The military leader of the anti-communist crusade is Colonel Franco Calida. Colonel Calida says that he personally cleaned all the communists out of Davao. His most effective weapon? The Alsa Masa Vigilante Group.
Hello. The Alsa Masa are the people who used to be supportive and sympathetic to the communist movement have already turned around 180 degrees against communism. And they are now Alsa Masa.
Alsa Masa means rising up from the people. Colonel Calida's Alsa Masa control Davao. His jeep now patrols slums where 2 years ago the New People's Army was in charge.
In order to have a personalized and tighter control over the activities of the residents. So we clean now the city of these NPAs or Sparrows. So we are not much worried now.
safer?
It's safer, of course.
Davao City, once a communist stronghold, was targeted by U.S. and Filipino military intelligence. Informers were nurtured. Vigilante groups were armed first with propaganda and then with guns. Now, Davao belongs to the Alsa Masa.
In Davao City alone, we have 800,000 or 900,000 members now of the Alsa Masa. Almost all the corners have organized their Alsa Masa movement. And do you think it is easy for us to control 800 or 900,000 Filipinos? No. You know, you should know our character. It's very hard to control.
Did you support the NPA before?
No,
Never before?
never before. But we are just only, we are indoctrinated by their doctrine.
And now are you indoctrinated by the Alsa Masa?
Yeah.
Agdao is a village within Davao City. When the communists controlled it, the people called it Nicaragdao. Now, Agdao is the home of the Alsa Masa and its founder, Boy Ponsa. Boy tells me he was once an NPA guerrilla. This, he says, qualifies him to say who is and who is not a communist in his barrio.
Hindi, may own policy na kung mayroong MPA, ipasurrender namin. Ngayon, alam na namin kung sino-sino ang mga MPAs. Ginamonitor na mo lahat ang kilos nila.
So that's it. Your word is good enough. You don't need any court of justice, any lawyers. Your word is good enough to say, this guy is an NPA.
No, if they are MPA, I'll bring to the Metro Discom Commander. Binigyan namin ng pagkakataon. Ngayon, they have 2 times, 3 times, 4 times. Yan, kapag hindi nag-surrender, yun ang aming kalaban. Kapag nakita kami, barila na lang.
How do you get them to surrender?
Pinaabot ko sa kanilang mga parents. I told them, their parents, that they will surrender. Now, if we will not surrender, maybe tomorrow we will die.
What did the Alsamasa say would happen to your son if he did not surrender?
They will kill my son because he is enemies against her because he is NPA.
Who would kill your son?
The military and also the Alsamasa because they are enemies.
You see, now, it's an Alsamasa territory. What do you think will happen to a communist or an NPA who still would like to live in the area? Well, if he retaliates with his firearm, then something will happen.
U.S. militarists call these dirty little wars. There are 80 conflicts like this currently burning around the world. The Americans, fearing the spread of communism, are directly involved in 4 of them: in Nicaragua, Angola, El Salvador, and the Philippines. The Pentagon classifies the war in the Philippines as a low-intensity conflict, or LIC. Their strategy is to defeat the left. American combat forces are to be used only as a last resort. Instead, Nicaraguans are turned against Nicaraguans. Filipinos fight Filipinos.
I personally feel that any doctrine of low-intensity conflict will not only hit the armed resistance, it will also try to constrict the legal space, both by trying to shut out the left through various legal means, but also, and it's starting, through the so-called privatization of terror, where you don't use the military outrightly, but paramilitary groups to harass and eventually even to kill legal left leaders.
3 weeks before the election, Dante and the PNB touched down on the island of Mindanao. Under the watchful eyes of the vigilantes, they run straight into accusations of being a communist front.
My heart is in the right place. I knew I'd be able to do these things. As we
Gustuhin man natin ang komunismo sa Pilipinas, hindi naman pwede. Yan po ay isang pananaw ng mga social philosophers. Isang sistema ng lipunan na hango dun sa salitang common. Sama-sama. Ano ba yung karit at maso? Yung karit at maso, yung karit, yun ang kumakatawan. Ano ba yung karit? Di ba panggapas? Yun ang kumakatawan dun sa magsasaka. Yun namang maso, panggawa ng asarol, panggawa ng kagamitang bakal. Ibig sabihin ng manggagawa. Kahit yung mga, pero pagka naglalagay nga sila sa Maynila ng mga streamers, nakalagay doon, ang naglalagay dito yung mga kalaban natin. Yung mga nananakot tungkol sa komunismo, ilalagay doon, ihalal yung mga kandidato ng Partidong Bayan, lalagyan nila ng karit, ang tulis-tulis ng karit. Parang panakot. Pagkatapos yung maso, laki-laki ng pamukpok. Parang pangalawit ng leeg. Ang tanong ko sa inyo, meron na bang ng hold up na komunista sa inyo? Meron na bang nag-rape na komunista sa inyo? Meron na bang nag 1, 2, 3 na komunista sa inyo? Meron na bang ng batong komunista sa inyo? Meron na bang ng torture na komunista sa inyo? Wala. Oh,
si Buscaino, si Bongo, si Capulo, si Tadeo, si Morales, si Sancho, si Beltran, kini mao ang kandidato sa katawhan. Kini ang mupadayon sa atong tingog kadto myself around. I'm moving backwards and forwards. I'm moving twice as much as I was before. I'll be down in there, in the center of the earth. I'll be down in there, moving, moving.
Mga kababayan natin, mga magulang at kapatid, dito po sa Bukito, ang nagsasalita po ay ang inyong kapatid na si Joe Burgos Jr.
We don't make promises, never. We would rather say we can do nothing without you. It is mostly from you that change will come. We can only be of help, voicing out what should be done, what step to be taken to effect changes. But each you will do it.
What's the hardest part?
When you are on top of that stage, under the blistering heat of the sun, you are waiting for your turn. 6 people to sleep or 5 people to speak. Then I'll wait for my turn at the last. I'm sitting there. I'm just praying that a cloud, the formation of cloud will pass through and will cover the sun. That's why have you noticed? I'm always looking up, looking for the cloud, and sometimes the cloud, I thought it will come in our direction, but it will take a different direction.
Mabuhay si Bernamidan Tumuscaino! Magandang tanghali po, mga kababayan namin dito sa Hingog. Nakalulungkot, gagawin namin ang aming rally.
In the white area, I have more than 10 code names. I have Gina, GC. I have Vicky. I have Lydia. And I have my first code name since I was a part-timer was Lutis. And it's funny because comrades called me Lutis because the night before they went to my house, they have seen a TV show of Lutis.
Who are you now?
Dadang.
8 years ago, Dadang studied agricultural engineering at a local university. Today, she organizes revolutionary governments in villages behind the guerrilla lines. Dadang is building a conference site for 30 revolutionaries who work in the city. To get here, they must travel on the highway, crossing through government checkpoints before they discreetly disappear into the mountains. Here, they can openly plan their revolution.
It's 12 hours Greenwich Mean Time, and here is the news from the Voice of America. I'm Don Folsom in Washington.
Government teachers don't come to this area anymore, so Dadang has trained local girls to be teachers in her revolutionary schools.
These children were the one we are fighting for. Their future is where the one we're fighting for. And if they will grow in the revolution without learning how to read and write, it's terrible. Because these children also will be our future comrades and cadres.
Basta mo ni ang kurbang. Yakining gamay. Balik. Balik. Balik niya. Bas balik daw. Revolusyon ako. Kabahin sa revolusyon ako.
revolusyon, ako kabahin sa revolusyon. Pagtuyok sa dagat, asa man inyong to? Pagtuyok sa dagat, sa kasapaan. Pagtuyok sa dagat, sa kahilanman. Ako, ikaw, kita, kabahin sa revolusyon. Ako, ikaw, kabahin sa revolusyon. Ako, ikaw, kabahin sa revolusyon.
Comrade Mang, great greetings. How's your life there? Is there any operation of the military? About the landmines, blasting machines, claymore mines, and other materials?
Information. It's crucial to the survival of Dadang and Oris's revolution. News comes into camp by radio or in tiny letters, chiclets they're called, folded small enough to eat if the messengers are searched at a roadblock. The information is brought by barefoot farmers, city workers, and guerrilla soldiers.
Maybe you know what happened to my husband. I have hard time to adjust psychologically, emotionally, living alone without him.
So that I can continue serving the revolution.
What is the response of my sweetheart Christy about my decision not to continue our relationship?
For the people and the revolution, Noriel.
For victory of our struggle, Filler.
Paloy, the radio operator, rigs up an antenna over the highest tree. He speaks the local dialect with splashes of radio English. Roger, he says, over and out. And when he can't understand my bad Filipino, he grins and sighs and says, negative copy. The radio keeps the headquarters in daily contact with its roaming guerrilla units. Its coded electronic beeps connect a network of jungle camps like these with the underground headquarters in Manila.
Kasandi Imang Oris Jonas, how are you? And warm Revolutionary Day. We brought you the details of what has happened to Batman.
Batman, an American comic book code name for a young Filipino guerrilla. A week after we arrive, Dadang receives a letter. Batman, a new recruit, has stolen an M16 rifle and fled from the main guerrilla unit. Rumors whisper he's gone over to the military. He's been seen at government roadblocks. He's pointing out local people who support the NPA. The region is on red alert. The guerrilla soldiers are mobilized to warn the local people and to find out if government forces are moving in.
Huangan, ya. Pagkabuti sa huangan. Pili ka tao mo kuan tadi pa kita semua tahu. Wa mo kay bawog na ang abot ang military dito sa adlaw.
Connection Anti-Communist Crusade.
And work toward the establishment of a new moral world. Og sila atong kungkiron pasiuna. Di lamang pinagi sa armas, apan pinagi sa pulong, kundi words. There's a musical attack.
If you're reacting to communism,
Yes?
what ideology are you putting forward?
Well, it is a God-centered ideology. Although we have firearms, plus these firearms will be eliminated after we have succeed. We only teach the people to believe in God. Because if a person believes in God, although he has gun, he will be having temper. Unlike the NPA, the hardcore, they don't believe in God, at the same time they have gun, they will kill and kill.
What do you call this ideology of yours?
God-centered ideology, regardless of religion. Whether you are a Muslim, God-centered. It means to say that we believe that there is God, Supreme Being, regardless if your God is Christ or Jehovah or Allah.
God-centered ideology.
But that is one of the most powerful. That is
It's only words.
It's only words, and words are all I have to take your heart away. You think that I don't even mean a single word I say. It's only words, and words are all I have to take your heart away. It's only words, and words are all I have to take your heart away. It's only words, and words are all I have to take your heart away.
Bullets ricochet around an army detachment outside of Davao City. A runaway NPA prisoner bolts past our jeep. He escapes. Soldiers and vigilantes stare glumly into the jungle and at us. Here in the countryside, the military works with another vigilante group. This one calls itself the Holy Christians. They are also known as tad-tads, which means chop-chop in the local dialect, because they chop off the heads of their communist enemies with their machetes or bolos. This is a war zone. The man in charge of running the war and the Holy Christians is the local armed forces of the Philippines commanding officer, Lieutenant De La Rosa.
Who's over there?
The cities, communist, terrorists, NPAs.
How far are they from here?
Just about air distance is 500 meters, 400 to 500 meters. Just over that hill. Right now, they were firing on us over there. And I think their purpose of that is just to attract our attention so that whenever they fire their guns, we will respond to them. And right on the way, they will be conducting some ambush position.
Are the NPAs winning out here?
I don't think so. With the help of civilian volunteers, the Holy Christian Crusaders, they've been contributing a lot for making these people go back to the folds of the law.
Come with me and love me, alone shall stay. I guess I'll always be so to hold you.
Can you tell me how you work with the Holy Christians, with all the other groups, which some people refer to as the fanatical groups?
These people, they came here in this place with the sole purpose of spreading peace. So I don't see any violence with their. They have really noble intentions. So I welcome them. We welcome them. We are free to roam around this place.
I guess I'll always be sold to fall to.
We have a close coordination with the military, not on their abuses, but on their what we call operation against the communists. But first, before we do that, we have to get the sympathy of the civilians.
As June Pala's nightly broadcast penetrates the Filipino night, vigilantes roam the streets. They're looking for guns, communists, and leftists.
American time. Tawag ito dere para magkita taas ang lugar. Pero way pagkanaay ha. usa ka sipyat, i-dismantle na imong 45 ba? Usa ka sipyat nimo tad-tad imong lawas bala. Pero kami mo di mo kumpiyansa kay dapat mga pagkana ang surrender. We have a map here presented to this letter writer. Hernan Sawata, Sibuli, Narsiri Dato Balong, posting ang military, detachment to the military, asang kampo. The Alsamasa is born. You are very unfortunate, baby. Just pray to your Russian God because you don't have God. Our purpose is to preserve the Roman Catholic Church in the ruins of some deception made by some priests and nuns, especially the redeemed terrorist priests and the Assumption nuns of Davao City. May gabi kang Father Edwin, tulibagbag. Dili day ka matabang, no? Di kita matabang, day ka tambag, malikture naman day ka sa mga aktivistang pare sa St. Xavier Seminary. Dr. Il, Clara Camp, Dolores Sal, Nelia Sab, Angelo Glo, Siano Basars, Leonardo K. Barok, Ariel, Ana, kumusta mo diya? Nang listahan sa kuwadre. You are now under surveillance. Bino 43 minutos lapas karon sa alas 10 pigal. Hatangi karon taon-taon ang atong Catholic Women's Anti-Communist Crusade. Umagyapon sa pipila ka pahinumdom.
You're under surveillance, so what does that mean?
I told them that they are now under surveillance.
What does that mean? What will happen to them?
What will happen to them? I don't know. What will happen to them because they are sympathizers. We just warned them not to support the NPA.
And if they support the NPA, what will
Let's support us up to it's up to tad-tad.
Nadungog nako, March 3 nadungog nako, alas 10 sa gabi eh. Gipanghinganlan pa mangani niya kung kinsa mga tao. Unang pangalan pa si Peter, atong higayuna nga gipanghinganlan niya nga magbantay lang mo. Nana unom sila ka tao.
Peter Alderetti. He was chopped to death by tad-tads using bolos in front of 30 witnesses. He was a union leader. No arrests were made.
The killer said that aside from Peter, they are going to finish the 6 union officers on that day. Actually, they give us until 12 o'clock in the afternoon to surrender. After that, we will be scheduled for chopping.
I asked Lieutenant De La Rosa if his tad-tads and their bolos were responsible for the Alderetti killing.
Yeah, they have bolos, but we are not allowing them to kill anybody.
What are you going to do further to investigate it?
Yeah, right after that incident, I told them not to rove around anymore because I've heard of reports that they were the one who was responsible. So I told them not to go around and
You heard reports that the Holy Christians were responsible?
Well, that's based on our investigation.
The man who was killed in Mandong, did you warn him over the radio before?
Do you know that Tad group is not our group? It is only a newly organized group, and it is not affiliated to our group.
But still, you just warned other people that if they didn't...
That's why I also warned them to surrender.
And you also threatened them with the tad-tad, with the chop-chop.
We only threatened them, na unlike the NPA, they ambush our men and kill our men.
But you're using your radio to terrorize people, right?
No, terrorize NPA, communist.
Is that different than terrorizing other people?
Well, I'm terrorizing NPAs, and those who are only terrorized are the NPAs and the communists. If they complain, you know, these people are stupid. They always complain. But when we are the one victimized, we do not complain. That's why when I started, I used this gun to have a general operation, blood will flow in the Philippines. I have not started my war yet. This is still the propaganda. But if the NPA and the communists will challenge me to use my gun, to use my tad-tad, and to use my arm, blood will flow. I will kill, including the media.
Metro Davao Connection Anti-Communist Crusade.
Davao is on the 6 o'clock news. Mrs. Aquino has come to state her position on the Elsa Massa vigilantes.
Her Excellency President Corazon C. Aquino. Magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Ako'y nasisiyahan na makapiling kayo dito kung saan ipinanganak ang Elsa Massa. Alam niyo sa iba't ibang lugar sa ating bansa, ang problema nga ay yung pag-atake ng mga komunista. At ang kailangan palagi kong sinasabi ay magkasunduan ang mga civilian at saka ang mga militar para mag-cooperate sila against the communist insurgents. Alam ko dito sa Region 11, you have succeeded in crushing the communists, and we look up to you as the example in our fight against communism.
U.S. Secretary of State George Shultz.
The government must use its capacity by its strength to enforce law and order. As far as the citizens groups are concerned, as I understand it, these are being organized within the framework of governmental authority. They aren't sort of free-floating vigilante groups. And President Aquino has supported that approach, and we support what she's standing for there.
In the mountains of Mindanao, this jungle clearing doubles as a Catholic church for villagers, their children, and guerrilla soldiers. The Mass begins with a security briefing.
Kung dirigikan ang kontak, mupogong ang squad trace, ang squad puno may mo pansakwan mga masa.
Pangadyo ng ama namo o tingali awagon natong tanan sa pagtindog o magunitay sa kamot.
Father Frank Navarro is a Marxist, a Christian, a priest, and a guerrilla fighter.
Being a priest doesn't forbid me of carrying the weapons. Because if ordinary people, like sons of the farmers, were convinced and they are ready to risk their lives, why not a priest who has given his life for the people? If he is committed to work among the poor, the deprived and oppressed, to serve the poor sectors of the society, I am sure that this great task should be the priority of the priest.
Ngayahalad ko kanino.
Pasayloa kami sa among mga sala, iyon na nakapasaylo.
Dili na magsasalong sa dilingban, ako ang undang, palagalan sa katawan, kalipan.
In Manila, Father Ed de la Torre prefers to remain a legal priest.
I got invited to join the New People's Army, and I refused. First of all, I said, I'm not physically ready. You go to the hills, my stomach is so colonized. I will crave for ice cold Coke, and I will get caught going down to some town store to buy ice cold Coke. And I've found that there are a lot of New People's Army guerrillas who have been captured, put in prison, and the thing they crave most is ice cold Coke or ice cold Pepsi. Very small luxuries, but still reflecting my own coca colonization, literally then. So I said, give me a few months to exercise and deprive myself of all this craving, kind of go cold turkey. But more important, I said, culturally, a priest goes up the hills, fine, dramatic, like Camilo Torres. And maybe it breaks a certain cultural barrier. But that is not the main barrier to break. There have been guerrilla priests before in our struggle against the Americans. The problem is there are so few Christian left people, progressives, even radicals willing to consider communists as human beings and not as devils. That, the whole left movement, including its Christian portion, is so full of devils in people's mind. They think of it as cosmic, God versus Satan, evil principle, good principle, instead of looking at it as human choices, human phenomena. So I said we must exorcise the left of its devils and see it as a human process. Some are good, some not so good. And for that, there must be people who are willing to stick around and talk and explain, engage in what I call unfinished conversations. Except the military knocked on my door one morning, September 23, 1972, and said, "Come on, we'll bring you to prison." It's a good thing I wasn't there. So I went underground. I didn't want to spend my life in prison. Well, I eventually did, but not by choice.
In the mountains of Mindanao, Father Navarro hears news of Batman, the runaway guerrilla soldier. Paloy's radio brings information that Batman has been shot and captured by rebel forces.
Itugan si Batman ug gitudlo nga naa ni anang pungtura kabuk sa suba. Matud pa ni Batman, sundalang ninyo ang dugo.
Father Navarro receives instructions from Oris, who assigns the rebel priest to question Batman.
Nila ang M16 nakasandig sa bato. Nakauto ang M16. Sa to pa wala ma-safety.
Kaya nakapuan na kayo gumay ng balik ko dito. Sangka lang siguro. Baso ko na pa istorya nimo. Mas lugang kuan ba? Mas mayo, pagturo man ang pangutana namo sa imo. Mas mayo nga og adunay imong ikadugang puot nga diri sa amo. Mas mayo nga imong ipakita po sa amo, no?
Batman tells his story. His uncle is an Elsa Massa vigilante who ordered Batman to leave the guerrilla army and join the government forces. Batman admits he has in fact given the military information about the revolutionaries, specifically naming Oris, Dadang, Father Navarro, and members of his own community. He was seriously wounded and captured, returning to his village, apparently unaware of the chaos he had caused.
Isa ka bo. Isa gi pangayoan nimo.
Si Martin.
Martin.
Ang taga asala kon.
Asa man na siya lumad?
Batman also names a local man whom he says is a military informer. The guerrillas act quickly and arrest the man.
Lingkod lang ha? Nalay mo ikuan. Nalay mo ipangutana sa imo.
Gawan mo lang bukan.
Ay mo. Liyo kung isa ni food. Mula ko ay lang tabay kay kuan istorya. Kita ni ganyan skandalo ka na. Kidip lang po.
Yang ko na ibilin na nato dere.
Bay da ako sa kuan.
5 days later, the man is released for lack of evidence. Now, the guerrillas must decide what to do with Batman. Father Navarro sets up a people's court and turns the decision over to Batman's community. Religious leaders and elders from Batman's village travel to the hidden location. They join Father Navarro, who represents the NPA. The discussion begins, but the war limits their choices. Either they expel Batman from their area, hoping he won't fall into military hands, or they must execute him.
Dili pa sentralisa diha pa sa siya sa sulod, daan na siya nga dili maminaw ba. Ipagkatong punto bitaw gay nga ang iyang gusto mo ay matuman.
Okay. Nasabtan ba? Sato pa abli na ang kuan nato. Nakita man nato nini para sa paghimog desisyon. Unsay mga kasulti sa kagusa. Ambot kung andam na punta para niya na paghimo sa himong desisyon.
Dante and the Partido ng Bayan are getting deeper into vigilante territory. They hire extra bodyguards. There are reports of campaign workers being harassed and killed.
Are you frightened for your own security?
What, 320? Alsamasa threat?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I think we should do a lot of explaining to the people to enlighten them about this Alsamasa and what should be their responsibility.
Because they see you as a #1 communist, the El Samasa. How are you replying to that?
I think, because they know that I was the organizer of the NPA, but I don't consider the Alsamasa as people's movement. It is being organized by the military through coercion.
Have they threatened your life at all?
No, not yet. I don't know. I'm not sure yet if they'll not do here in Mindanao. And it's the first time I'm here going in their area. So I also want to find out what should be their attitude.
Bernabé Dante Buscaino.
Ganun din maalala natin noong March of 29, anniversary ng NPA, sabi ng mga dyaryo, sabi ni General Ramos, General Villa, yung mga NPA gagawa ng kaguluhan sa Maynila, papatay daw ng general, pupugutan daw ng ulo, ilalagay sa plato, ipipresenta kay Cory. Pero kinabukasan, totoo, nagkaroon nga ng ulong pugot. Pero sinong gumawa? Yung mga tagtad na ilalagaan ng military. Yan nakita nyo sa Inquirer at sa Malaya. Kaya nga, alam niyo yung ginagawa nilang yan. Bawat Pilipino na nakakita ng landas ng kanyang paglaya, nakakita ng landas ng kanyang pag-unlad, sapagkat sa landas na yan, kung tatahakin niya yan, mawawala yung kanilang economic at military interest sa Pilipinas. Kagad sila maglalagay ng kapirasong kahoy, tatakpan nila ng kumot, sasabihin sa'yo, bulto yan, huwag kang tatahak dyan. Pero mga kababayan, alam ko, hindi na tayo mga bata. Tayo mahulog na. Madali na natin tanggalin yung kumot na yon na nakatakip.
They're worried for his life. They're worried that there'll be attempts on his
They're only worried of their life, of their own. They're afraid of their own shadow. They will come here. We don't attack them. We don't harass them. They will come. They're worried because they believe that the Alsamasa are terrorists or savage people because of the misinformation campaign of the media in Manila. But now they realize that they're not even touched here in the past days. I don't allow my people to harass them. Because if we will harass them, they will be more popular.
You don't think that the PND will win?
It will not, because the anti-communism fever have spread like wildfire throughout the Philippines, and they are identified with the communists.
Do you think the PND are communists?
They are identified only. Maybe some of them are communist, meaning using wittingly as a tool of communist propaganda and objectives. Buscaino is identified with the NPA and the commander of the New People's Army throughout the Philippines. Nobody can deny that as a commander of the NPA, you are a party card-bearing member of the Communist Party of the Philippines. The program is good, but the fact that it is a Marxist-Leninist idea, it is still not good because the takeover of the communists is always bloody, and we don't want bloody takeover.
The Partido ng Bayan is coming into Davao, June Pala territory. The campaign is scheduled to stop in Digos on the outskirts of Davao. Here, Dante knows he will have to face a crowd of vigilantes and their supporters.
Kining usa ka bantugan nga revolusyonaryo walay lain kundi si Bernabe Dante Buscaino.
Ayun po, ngayon ay ang masasabi ko po, kayo hindi ko na kailangan ipaliwanag pang mabuti. Talagang nandiyan pa yung kahirapan natin. Kahit na umabot tayo ng 200 milyon sa yaman ng Pilipinas, napakayaman ng bundok natin, may mga minerals yan, may mga mina, napakalawak ng gubatan natin, lalo na sa Sierra Madre na pinagtaguan ko, ang lalaki ng mga punong kahoy, ang daming nyog, ang daming tubuhan, ang daming ilog at dagat na maraming isda. Saan ka nakakakita? At pagka gustong magkape mga Pilipino, no, wala silang asukal. Gustong magprito ng tuyo, wala silang mantika. Gustong gumawa ng bahay, wala silang tabla. Gustong mag-ulam ng isda, wala silang ulam. Oh, paano po yung maling patakaran ng ating bansa? Pinakukutkod natin sa mga dayuhan, yung ating dagat, inuuwi nila yung mga nauhuli nila. Pinahahakot natin yung ating troso, pinahahakot yung ating mina. Yun ang kopra, dapat dito na gawin kung anong nagagawa dyan na napakaraming bagay upang magkaroon ng trabaho, ay dinadala pa kung saan, sa labas. At kung meron mang ginagawa sa Maynila, ay hindi na po ari. Huwag na tayong palinlang dyan sa komunismo na yan. Walang komunismo. Ang problema natin, kung matapat mong pag-aralan, ano ba talaga yung problema? No? Yan, kawalan ng lupang masasaka, kamahalan ng bilihin, kawalan ng trabaho, pero masusolusyonan natin yan kung matapat ka. Kailangan magkaroon ng tunay na reforma sa lupa, ng tunay na pambansang industrialisasyon, ng isang gobyerno na ang mamamayan ang nakapangyayari, isang bansa na hindi pinakikialaman. Yun ang solusyon. Kahit na sinong Pilipino, yan ang magiging solusyon niya kung matapat yung pag-aralan ng ating problema at kung maayusin ng ano yung solusyon. Kaya kung bumapayag kayo mga kababayan, narito si Dante, hindi upang magpaboto. Kung hindi, ang gusto ko lang sabihin sa inyo, kung gusto ninyo talagang magbabago, kung gusto ninyong makaalis tayo sa kahirapan na yan, ano nga ba yung pangarap ng tao? Napakasimple ng pangarap ng tao. Kung sana gusto mong kumain, meron kang kakainin. Kung gusto mong magbihis, meron kang damit. Kung gusto mong manahanan, meron kang bahay. Kung gusto mong paaral ang mga anak, mapapaaral mo. Kung may sakit, mapapagamot mo sana. Meron kang kinabukasan, meron kang kapayapaan, meron kang dignidad, meron kang pagsasarili. Yan ang pangarap natin. Pero hindi manggagaling po yan kung kanino. Manggagaling lamang po yan sa atin lamang. Tayo mismong gagawa. Ang tagal na nating naghintay sa mga palit-palit na gobyerno. Ang tagal na nating umasa na sana manalo ng ganitong kandidato ay magkakaroon tayo ng pagbabago. Ang tunay na pagbabago mula sa kahirapan tungo sa pagkakaroon natin ng tamang buhay ay manggagaling lamang sa mamamayan. Kaya po, ang siguradong pagbabago ay mga kandidato na gagawa ng batas na galing sana sa atin. Kayo ang pipili. Bahala na kayo kung gusto rin sinong pili. Ngayon po, yan ay tinatawag na alyan ng bagong politika. Yan po ang bagong politika.
Dante and the Partido ng Bayan turned back to the capital city for the last leg of the campaign.
Manila, I keep coming back to Manila. Simply ain't no place like Manila. Manila, I'm coming home.
Manila, 12 million people. The communist guerrillas call it the mouth of the enemy. Whoever controls the capital city controls the Philippines. Manila's newsboys hawk the headlines of a presidency under siege from its own military. During her first year, Mrs. Aquino faced 4 separate coup attempts by rival factions within the armed forces. She survived, but with each coup attempt, another liberal is dismissed from her government as she trades people's power for military support.
Manila, I keep coming back to Manila. Simply ain't no place like Manila. Manila, I'm coming home.
Five weeks after the Mendiola massacre, another slaughter. The army kills 11 villagers while hunting for communist rebels. Mrs. Aquino talks peace with the Rebel United Front, the NDF, but the talks fail. The president turns back to a military solution. The Philippines is a war zone again.
Take me back in your arms, Manila. Promise me you'll never let go. Manila, Manila.
The Philippines original 99.5 RT. Rhythm Classics.
There are a lot of things happening under Mrs. Aquino that were happening before and just continued happening. She never really made any difference over them. Military personnel who are committed to crushing the insurgency and who sees insurgency as operating at armed, clandestine, open level, even electoral level. They think that's all insurgency. And they're operating. And I don't think, despite her official title as Commander-in-Chief, that she is the Commander-in-Chief of the military.
Honored guests, fellow workers in government, as we raise the flag of our country, I take special pride in saluting you, the defenders of our nation. The February Revolution has meant many things to many people, but it holds special promise for you, the military.
February 1987, the first anniversary of Mrs. Aquino's revolution. 2 million people cram EDSA Boulevard. As commander of the military, General Ramos keeps one watchful eye on his restless soldiers and the other on Mrs. Aquino as she hovers over her revolution.
following three reasons. One, because the people at EDSA were there for a great cause, the cause of freedom. Two, they went to EDSA not for any personal consideration, but only for the greater interest of our country. And three, because the Filipinos at EDSA believed in God and believed in one another. We have restored freedom in this country. Now we have to continue with the same people power spirit of selflessness and dedication in order to achieve our other goals.
In the name of the Father, the Son,
Excellency, President Corazon Owanko Aquino, happy birthday, freedom! So let us sing happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to
Smoky Mountain, a steaming garbage dump in Metro Manila. People live here, thousands of them. They scavenge for a living. They look for glass, or rubber, or plastic. The price of garbage hasn't gone up since the revolution. A group of squatters is still trying to get Mrs. Aquino's attention. They hope they can persuade the government to give them a better place to live. But the massacre of other demonstrators at Mendiola must give the squatters second thoughts about attending demonstrations. The massacre also strengthens the hand of an underground which calls for urban violence. The foot soldiers in this urban war are called sparrows. They assassinate police chiefs and army officials in the cities. Their tactics are violent and controversial. But the sparrows claim they must attack the intelligence officers who are the eyes and ears of the government's military.
What were you before you were part of the scout?
Organizer. Hindi, simula
Before?
sa mangunguma.
These men are sparrows. We meet them in the house of a sympathetic farmer on the edge of the city. We film the sparrows' routine. It is well rehearsed.
Tail sink 2. Three tail.
Terrio was once a sugar worker and a union organizer. He was driven underground by death threats. Now, Terrio is a sparrow, a partisan.
Bangod siyang hulag siyang partisano abi nga ari siya nagahulag sa syudad. Nga inis siya, malapit ni siya sa sang boa, sang kwanbala sang kaway. Bangod siyang kagamay nga pirsa. No, kagang hindi high power ang ginagamit siya doon sa ano. Kailain mo kung magamit ka sang taktika mo nga bila sa countryside yung paggamit na bigan yung purme ka. Hindi ka pwede maka ano sa syudad, maka mobile. Kaya may madasig kang makakuanan sang kaway, matumpukan. Lain sa partisano nga ang iyang paghulag bilang isa ka sibilyan. Nga nagaupod man dira sa paghulag sang mga sibilyan sa sulod sang syudad. Nga hindi na ma-identify. Sa kay ang kaway kabalo na gid man nga ang ulag sa partisano, sibilyan mga pariyo. Mo ganing problema sang military. Kung paano nila ma-identify ang sparrow nga nagaulag sa syudad kay hindi na makilala. Sila ya kilala na. Pagka abot siya nga arad ang target, bang!
Dante, Burnaby Boscano speaks out against the political assassinations. The underground reacts, accusing its former commander of becoming an armchair revolutionary. But Dante insists the sparrows will only trigger a backlash from the vigilantes and the military. 3 months later, Dante's predicted backlash is played out on the 6 o'clock news. Government soldiers sweep through Manila slums and arrest men between the ages of 18 and 25 as suspected sparrows.
Deputy Chief ng Police Station Number 8 ng Western Police District. Si Mediavillo, isa sa may pinakamaraming parangal na opisyal ng Police Maynila.
An informer stands behind half-open blinds. One by one, the men are brought before him.
Maynila, isa sa kritikal na lugar sa Metro Manila na hinihinalang pinagtataguan ng mga miyembro ng NPA Liquidation Squad.
The man behind the blinds gives a sign. A communist is named.
Dalawang bala ang tumama sa kanyang kaliwang leeg at naglagos sa kanang tenga at ang isa namang bala ay
This
tumama
is the 6 o'clock news in the Philippines.
Ayon sa ilang saksi, lumapit ang dalawang lalaki sa magkabilang tagiliran ni Media.
In the mountains, the People's Court has reached a decision about Batman. Father Navarro delivers the sentence to the NPA headquarters. It's not the decision they anticipated. Now they must decide whether to carry it out. I watch Father Navarro, Oris, Dadang, and Sandy, a local organizer. 4 people trying to weigh the necessities of a guerrilla war against the justice that they are fighting for.
At first, I decided to have an expulsion. But the problem there is, where can we put him? Since the responsible masses in the organization, the Dato, can no longer trust him and can no longer let him live inside their territory. And since Batman have so many damage done to the masses, especially when he was in the hands of the military. So, it's why I prefer to decide death penalty.
Was it a hard decision for you?
Yeah, since it's not really easy to decide the life of an individual.
Personally, I had been longing and really dreaming that we could do away with this death penalty and really have a judicial system that is more human. But considering the case of Batman, it really endangered the life of many workers and many farmers and people in the community. He mentioned many names from his community, from his barrio. And the people really feel that if this person stays alive, their security is in danger.
Okoy, a member of the headquarters, is assigned to tell Batman the decision. Are you ready, he asks, to accept the decision of the People's Court?
Patay dito kuan. Ni pananglitan na ba? Sa imong tanaw lang ba? Panglitan gunahan na ang kuan. Dagan. Ang dawaton lang kay pabuhi lang ko. Ito sa dito. May day tapos na itabangan ko gani aron ko mabuhi. Tapos pati manoon. Ako siguro ning basahon sa imo no ang katong nakabot nga desisyon. Una, ang proseso nga nanghitabo matawaging ginasusi, gina-investigar ka sa tanan sa dagan. Sa lahing bahay naning kamot gyud ang kauban nga matagaan ka sa tanan nimong kayuhan tanan. Kaya wala pa may klarong desisyon.
At the same time, government troops have been sighted near the guerrilla headquarters. The government has given the local people an ultimatum. Either they join the Alsamasa or their villages will be attacked. The revolutionaries decide to strike first. Plans are laid and bombs are made.
Dakong bintaha dire. Kay tandiyon na bintaha.
Kaya posible.
Kay kanagani kun mo napagyapon na sa sulod, pwede magyapon atangan pa nimo dire og bomb. Kun napa kay bomb.
Pasantik. Wa na ang posisyon dia, withdraw na. Dili pwede mo withdraw ka diha pero di man na magintiro adlaw diha ba?
Oo, mugawas man gyud na siya.
Kay mo ang
di mo na siya
Iluman. Iluman. Atasan.
Guerrilla foot soldiers are not told the exact target of an attack until a few hours before they move out. Hammock, rope, and rain curtain. Ration of dried fish, 5 kilos of rice, and a landmine bomb equals a 22-kilo pack, not including an M16 rifle. Paloy packs his radio. He pulls his antenna down from a tree, shutting off all contact with headquarters until the attack is over. The unit first digs holes for the landmines and then foxholes for themselves. Advance reports from the local people have told them to expect a foot patrol, maybe more. We wait. It's not a foot patrol. It's a full company of 60 government soldiers. The information was terribly wrong. We run.
Okay, column 3. Puloy killed by enemy blocking force. Papa Delta.
Paloy, the radio operator, is shot through the chest protecting our film crew. Forced to retreat up an impossible hill, we leave him behind.
3 other comrades separated from main force. No contact until now, Papa Delta. Column 5. 1 comrade wounded, Papa Delta. Column 6. Company restinct okay, but morale is low, Papa Delta.
Paloy is dead. And so is Batman. Paloy's body remains in the hands of his enemy, while the NPA return Batman's coffin to his father.
Oh, tired. Okay. Kaya mo?
It's the last day of the campaign. In Manila, Dante has finished his last speech. The campaign is over.
Ang tagapaglikha, ang masa ang masa lamang ang siyang tagapaglikha. Ang masa, ang masa, tagapaglikha ng kasaysayan. Sundin ng buong tatag ang linyang pangmasa. Mula sa masa, tungo sa masa, ito. Ang ating bithiin magkapantay-pantay, walang magsasamantala, walang makaapi. Yan ang sandigan ng ating pamumuhay.
'Manila's radios spew out a litany of names and election results. Mrs. Aquino's party wins most of the seats in the Senate and the Congress. The Partido ng Bayan receives just 8% of the popular vote, winning only 2 out of the 200 seats in Congress. Dante and the other 6 PNB senatorial candidates lose. At last count, 26 PNB campaign workers and 1 congressional candidate are dead. Four weeks later, Dante is ambushed by gunmen in uniforms. 2 of his companions are killed. Dante survives. Afterwards, we find a visibly tired Dante who still believes that violence from the left should only be used as a last resort.
If the ruling class will resort to counter-revolutionary violence, then you have no alternative but to counter that with revolutionary violence. But in the special case of the Philippines, right now, I think the left should pay more attention in organizing the workers together with the farm workers as well as the urban poor, and that needs a form of struggle that's more democratic, a necessity to be able to reach those people via what they will perhaps call an open struggle or parliamentary struggle.
In the end, though, do you think it's going to take armed struggle to really change things?
My personal analysis and opinion right now is that armed struggle should be secondary.
You know, people in the so-called center or even people in the liberal elite are not going to protest very much when known left leaders, left organizations get hit by some paramilitary group. They'll start protesting when their own people get hit, their own middle-class liberals get hit. And that's what we've been telling them. Look, terror, paramilitary, once it gets going, does not distinguish. No? It starts with hitting the so-called hard left, And a lot of those are ready to go underground and fight. Then they start hitting those who want to remain legal forever. Then maybe some of this also go underground. Then it will hit anyone who is liberal and wants space for unorthodox ideas, wants some shade of red in the rainbow. And I said, for your own safety, you better start opposing these paramilitary groups.
These are my stories from inside the Philippine Revolution. Their restless call for change resonates, like the sound of a rustling of leaves in a distant, yet now familiar, cane field. Of course, these stories once told don't stop. The landlords in Congress have watered down yet another land reform bill which appears destined to fail. But the sugar workers of Negros still dream of land and liberation. Ed de la Torre no longer paints in his garden in Manila. Following threats on his life, he fled to England, where he lives in temporary exile. Oris came down out of the mountains to attend an underground meeting in Manila. There, he was betrayed by informers and arrested. Dadang and Father Navarro remain in the mountains, where the armed forces of the Philippines have bombed their area as they said they would. Radio DJ June Pala ran for mayor of Davao City, with a Tad commander as his running mate. They lost. The last time I saw Dante, he was headed back to his village where he began the revolution 20 years ago. As strategic a position as any, from which to contemplate his own future and the future of the Philippines.
The next time you see around, if you want blood will flow in the Philippines, it will flow.
The fact that blood will flow, why is this better than what you say the communists are doing?
It's useless to answer your interview because it seems to me that you want NPA and you don't want our crusade. And you are inciting people not to support us. Where is more terroristic, me or Hitler?
I don't know. Who do you think?
I have not started my terrorism yet. But if you challenge me to start, I could start shooting.
With arms unbound, we fly to war, embrace the slaughter that we abhor, and we go on searching for answers. Saan ang kalikasan sa dulo.